Hello, and welcome back to the Gipton War Room. It's the 10th of June, it's 1944, it's Normandy, and it's the Battle of St. Martin, Le Pesnel. Right, I'd just like to start by saying thank you to everyone who watches my videos, who subscribes, who likes them, who comments on them. Yes, I get the rules wrong, but I do these for fun. I love wargaming, love playing with toy soldiers, love World War Two. Used to game quite a bit in 20 mil many years ago, back in the very early 90s. Switched to 28 mil, probably maybe about 10 years ago, something like that. Yeah, just really like playing the game. So I appreciate and I'm really grateful for all the comments and likes that I get. Thank you very much. Okay, this is a meeting engagement between the British and German forces in the days just after D-Day, as the British try and push inland to try and capture or encircle Caen, and the Germans, as their units arrive in the Normandy area, are rushed to the front to try and plug any gaps in the line. And the forces meet head on here at St. Martin le Pesnel. Okay, so this is a meeting engagement. The British forces will be advancing from the short table edges into the centre of the village. The Germans from the opposite end will also be advancing from the short table edges all the way down. This is an 8 foot by 5 foot table. The objective is, of course, to capture the village. It's a meeting engagement, and all the forces will begin to come on from turn one. Obviously, some forces will be part of the force will be held in reserve, so there'll be the first wave in the first turn, and then in the subsequent turns, reserves can start to come on once they pass their order test. Right, victory points. Each building or building block that you can see is worth 10 points. To capture it or claim it, you have to either get infantry figures inside it, or infantry figures or vehicles up against the side of the house for one turn. Then they can move on. That house is then captured, or the ground is captured. To recapture it, the opposing forces will either have to get troops inside, or likewise get their troops up to the sides or the edges of the building for a turn to recapture it. There are 8 buildings in total, so 80 points up for grabs. Okay, if during the game there's a situation that has opposing troops on either side of a building with none inside, then neither side can claim the building, and it remains contested, with the 10 points not being allocated to either force. Right, a few words on terrain. Buildings, of course, block line of sight and class as hard cover. Bocage. The bocage pieces on the table, they block line of sight unless a unit is up against the base of the bocage, and they provide hard cover. If a unit is an inch away, then again the sight's blocked. Right, walls. All the walls on the table give hard cover, but they do not block line of sight. So again, you can fire over, but it will obviously give hard cover saves to the opposing forces. All the walls on the table are classed as low walls. On the table, all the liching that you can see gives soft cover, but does not block line of sight. The wheat fields, there are 3 of them. Again, do not block line of sight, but do give soft cover if the infantry or vehicle are in the wheat fields. It's classed as soft cover. All the trees that you can see on the table are just there for aesthetics. They don't block line of sight, they don't hinder any movement, and they don't provide any cover. If we were to move vehicles or move figures up, we'd simply just move the tree out the way. They are just there as to dress up the board a bit. The haystacks that you can see on the board, they don't block line of sight. They don't provide any additional cover. They're there just to emphasise the fact that it's a wheat field. The other brown fields that you can see on the table here, again, there are three of them, don't give soft cover and have no effect at all on movement. Again, they're just added to enhance just the look of the board. Just a very quick one on some of the new buildings that I've got. This is 3D printed. I got it from the Vatmatac show in York from the Tree Fellas. I've based it and painted it up as close as I can to the original that obviously was in Carentan. It's the Desiree Ungoof restaurant. I also got this one, also from the Tree Fellas. Again, it's one of the buildings from Carentan, 3D printed, really good quality. Really happy with how these have come out. Again, I've based them and just as an addition, just stuck on some advertising boards from using the rapid fire downloads just to make signposts, which really add to the buildings. The other buildings have been seen before. These are Sarissa Precision MDF ones that I've got. Put them on bases, added quite a bit of detail using balsa, card, and plastic card and what have you, and little stirring sticks, just to add detail, and obviously piles of rubble and sand, which don't come with the kits, but it just gives them a nice effect. And they paint up, they're covered in sand, PVA and sand, and then painted and sprayed, and it gives them a really nice effect. British are commanded by Brigadier Young, led into battle on the table by Captain Sybottom, with the main fighting element consisting of Lieutenant Hill, who leads 4 sections of 10 men each. Each section consists of 1 NCO, 1 Sten with a Sten, 1 Bren gunner and loader, and 7 rifles. There are support elements of a Piat team, 2-inch mortar team, a forward artillery observer, and a forward air observer, with a Typhoon ground attack aircraft on call. The force is supported by tanks from B and C Squadron of the 25th Lancers and the Oakwood Rangers. It's 6 Shermans in all. I know that's breaking the rules, but there you go. 4 Shermans with 75 and 2 Sherman Fireflies. All the British forces are regular. Comes to a total points value of approximately 2,116. There are 16 units, but we're only going to be using 12 command dice aside. The German forces are led by Colonel Hans von Gaby, with command on the ground going to Captain Montz. Support company led by Lieutenant Stransky, with 2 medium machine guns and 1 medium mortar and spotter. Lieutenant Trebig has a support of a light mortar team and commands 3 10-man Panzer Grenadier sections. Each section is led by an NCO with an MP40, 2 times MG34 light machine guns and loaders, 5 rifles, one of which carries a Panzerfaust. There is an armoured group led by Lieutenant Brandt, who is a Panzer Ace and is in a Tiger 1. He commands 2 Panzer IVs and 2 Panthers from the 1st and 2nd Battalion of the 12th Panzer Regiment. All the German units are veteran. It comes to approximately 2,664 points with 15 units, but again, we're only using 12 command dice. Right, first die out the bag is British, and the artillery observer runs onto the battlefield behind the bocage, giving him a good line of sight up the left flank. German die, and the Panzer IV runs along the road towards the centre of the town. Another German die and another Panzer IV runs onto the table. British die, and a Firefly runs up and positions itself next to the little orchard with a commanding view of the centre of the town. Another British die and another Sherman runs along the road parallel with the Firefly. Germans and the rifle section run onto the table. Another Sherman runs onto the table, positioning itself next to the other tanks in a line, pushing down on the right flank. Another British dice, and the infantry run on to the through the wheat field, taking up position behind the bocage. Yet another British die, and another rifle section run up the road towards the village. German die, and the company commander also runs on to the table in support of the rifle section. Another German die, and another commander, this time the platoon commander, enters the table at a run. Right, so the rest of the German units were all in reserve, and there were 3 British units left to bring on. So the 3 that were brought on, Captain Sybottom, the company commander, ran onto the table. The forward air observer ran on, and Lieutenant Hill also ran on to support the troops on the left flank. All the British units that were left were also on reserve, so it's on to turn 2. German, and the Panther in reserve, passes its order test, advances onto the table, and is going to take a shot at the Firefly. At the Sherman tank, sorry, not the Firefly. Needing a 5. Oh, it's a hit. Can the Sherman save on a 5? No, it doesn't. Rolling for damage. It's -1 for long range, so it's going to be 6 against a defense of 9. And that's a superficial hit. Rolling for superficial damage, and it's a 4. Lucky escape for the Sherman. It was engine damage only, so it's an additional pin, and now the vehicle can only run at slow speed. British die, and the Sherman, having come under fire from the Panther, is in range of the company commander, so gets a bonus. Can he pass his order test? Yes, he can. So we lose a pin. He pivots and reverses back 6 inches, taking cover and away from the line of fire of the Panther in the distance. British dice, and the Firefly goes on ambush, covering the road through the centre of the village. British die, and the infantry section run into the building, capturing the first house in the village. German die, and the Panzer IV does a run order, but very craftily positions itself and a pivot, giving itself probably hard cover, but having an excellent line of sight through the gap and across the village into the fields. British die, and a very brave Sherman tank commander runs along the road into the fields, positions itself facing the Panzer IV. It's going to be a shoot-off in turn 3. Right, a German die, and the mortar comes on. It passed its order test, and the spotter runs on the road, trying to make his way into the town to get good fields of view. British and the rifle section go over the bocage, advance to behind the orchard walls. German and the Panzer IV advances along the road and just pushes its way through the low wall. Yeah, you can get it to the other side of that. So it's gone through the low wall, which just counts as an obstacle, but it's advanced. Another German die, and another rifle section's passed its order test and runs on in support of the Panther on the German left flank. Another German die, and another rifle section also run onto the table. This time on the German right flank. British die, and Captain Sybottom runs up through the wheat field to the bocage and sets up his company headquarters. German die, and the small mortar team passed its order test and runs on in support of the rifle section on the German right flank. British die, and the artillery observer can see right up in the distance German troops moving on the skyline and calls in an artillery strike for the next turn. British die, and the forward air observer runs across the wheat field on the right flank of the British, trying to get himself in a position to see what's further ahead. British die, and Captain Hill just runs across the road, taking up position behind the bocage and just close to the farm or the building that his troops already occupy. Next two dice were German. One unit went down off table, the officer. The medium machine gun team ran on, having passed its order test, up the road. A British die this time, and the Firefly runs on the left flank, driving through the gap between the bocage and the house. The next die was German, and a unit was put down off the table. British die was drawn, and a Sherman runs on up the road, heading towards the village. German die, and the Panzer Grenadiers run across the road towards the back of the hotel. Final German die, and the officer also runs with the Panzer Grenadiers towards the hotel. Final die was British, and the 2-inch mortar team run on in between the two Shermans. Right, so the first two turns see the British and Germans tentatively advancing into the town. Only the single shot exchange so far with the Panther and the Sherman, forcing the Sherman to reverse. But turn 3 and turn 4 will might produce some more action, and we'll begin with the artillery strike. See if it comes in on the German right flank. Does the artillery come in on the British? It does. Let's see what the radius is. 6 plus 6, 12 inches. That'll definitely cover the two German units on their right flank. The Germans decide to put both units down, so at least half any hits should a direct strike be achieved. So the mortar team, that's only pins, and it is 1 pin. The infantry team, that's only pins, and they receive 2 pins. So 1 pin on the mortar and 2 pins on the infantry. The first die is British, and of course the Sherman fires at the Panzer IV before the Panzer IV fires at it. It's a straight fire order. It will get +1 for the anti-tank gun, needing a 3 to hit. It's a 3. No, it's missed. That miss might be costly for the British, but another British die comes out, and the Firefly on the left flank does a run order and position with a pivot towards the end, positioning itself to cover the left flank if any German armour approaches. British die, and the 2-inch mortar runs up, taking position at the corner of the building with a view of the village, perhaps with the view to start laying some smoke rounds down. Yet another British die, and the Firefly, insanely at a run order, runs into the centre of the village. Yet another British die. The Sherman Firefly passes its order test, loses its pin, and advances up the road in support of the other Sherman. But again, it's got engine damage, so it can only advance at 6 inches. The German die, and there's no surprises in guessing that the Panzer IV is going to fire back at the Sherman, also needing a 3. 3. Oh, it's a miss as well. The German die, and the Panzer IV continues its advance over the wall and into the field at the back of the town hall. The British die, and the forward air observer continues his advance, this time onto the right flank, aiming to get a view of the German vehicles and infantry further up the board to call in an airstrike. The Panther advances through the wheat field. Another British die, and another suicidal Sherman tank runs up into the up the road and pivots, just keeping itself covered behind the house, so it can't be shot at by the Panther or Panzer IV in the next turn. German dice, and the spotter continues his run towards the town hall, where hopefully he'll get a good field of view of the village and start calling in mortar rounds. British and the infantry section in the house run out and take cover behind the low wall. Yeah, German and the machine gun team also run up the road towards the centre of the village. German die and the Panzer Grenadiers run into the hotel, capturing the building. British die and Lieutenant Hill runs into the building. Just there. Yeah. First, the German reinforcements. The Panther passed its order test and runs down the road. A lot of tanks on the table now. The British die and the Sherman advances onto the table and has a line of sight to the Panzer IV through the orchards, and he's going to fire, needing a 5. Needing a 5. Oh, it's a hit. Right, so it's long range for the Sherman, so it's a -1, so it's a penetration of 4 with it having a medium anti-tank gun against the front armour of a 9 of the Panzer IV. So I need a 5 and a 6. That's a miss. So just a pin. German die, and the officer runs up behind the hotel. Another German die, and the company commander this time runs up towards the hotel in support of the other infantry units there. British and the infantry section climb over the wall and advance into the orchard. Final British dice, and Captain Sidebottom also advances behind the wall of the orchard, just behind the leading rifle section. Final German die, and the German rifle section on the left flank advances in support of the Panther in the wheat field. Right, so turn 3 saw the British pushing into the town with infantry and with tanks as well. It also saw some more German armour coming onto the in support, some reinforcements arriving. A couple of tanks exchanged fire in the centre of the village, both missing. So we're now on to turn 4. Going to get messy this turn. First dice British, and the Sherman is going to fire again at the Panzer IV, needing a 3. 3 to hit. Oh, it's missed. British die again, and the Sherman is going to fire at the other Panzer IV. This time only needing a 4 because it's not moving. 4 to hit. It's hit. Same again, -1 for long range, needing a 5 and a 6 to do any damage. And it hasn't, so just another pin. Well, straight replay of turn 3. The Panzer IV is going to fire back at the Sherman, also needing a 3. It's a hit. But it's long range for the Panzer IV that's got a heavy anti-tank gun. So it's actually going to be a 4 or a 5 to damage the Sherman or to penetrate. No, it doesn't. A British die. And the Sherman is going to advance and pivot and fire at the Panzer IV through the orchard. Needing a 5 for its move. Oh, it's missed. Surprise. German die. And the Panzer advances out of the wheat field, positions itself, and fires at the Sherman through the orchard. Needing a 5 to hit. Needing a 5. Oh, it's a hit. Right, so it's long range for the Panther's super heavy, so it drops 1. So needing a 3 or 4 to damage the Sherman. Oh, and it does. Can the Sherman save? Right, so the intervening walls of the orchards give it a hardcover save of 4+ for the Sherman. Oh, it saved it. British die, and the forward air observer, the plucky little chap, advances out, so he gets a good view up the table towards the German tanks and the Panther in particular, and he will begin to set up his coordinates to call in an airstrike on the next turn. A German die and more reinforcements. This time Tiger 211 passes its order test and advances onto the table, and this Tiger is commanded by a Panzer Ace. And the observer continues his run towards the town hall. The British dice this time and the 2-inch mortar team continue their run up the road next to the next set of buildings. German and the machine gun team run off the road towards the town hall. German and the Panther cautiously sneaks up through the village, but he's just not in line of sight with the Firefly. British die and the Firefly very sensibly refrained from advancing up the road and instead went on ambush. Another British die and the infantry unit climb over the walls and go around the back of the house, again heading towards the centre of the village. But another house that's been claimed as captured. Yep, so the Panzer Grenadiers passed their order test, lost one pin, still have one pin, but then advanced into the wheat field on the German right flank. Mortar team this time passed its test, lost its pin, and runs up the side of the wheat field. British die and the Sherman with the engine damage runs, albeit it's only a 12, up alongside the other Sherman. Okay, British die and Captain Sidebottom issues a snap to. He himself advances outside of the orchard, and the rifle section advance over the orchard walls, again towards the next building and small orchard. German and the Panzer IV passed its order test, lost a pin, advanced up to the orchard wall, and is going to fire at this Sherman, but it's going to be -2 for one pin and moving, so he's going to need a 6 to hit. I missed the roll, but he definitely got a 6, so it's a hit. Needing a 3 and a 4 to penetrate. No, it doesn't, so it's just a pin on the Sherman. German die, and the company commander just advances at the side of the hotel, very close to the Panther and machine gun team and the unit that's inside the building as well. British die, and the artillery observer calls in yet another fire mission, placing the aiming point just next to the mortar. German die, and the platoon commander runs up at the side of the townhouse. Final dice was also German, and the Panzer Grenadiers advanced through the wheat field alongside the Panther. That's the end of turn 4. Lots of stuff on the table now. Everything kind of coming together towards a bit of a crunch point. And it's fair to say the gunnery and die rolling has been pretty bad. Let's see if it gets any better in turn 5. Right, the first die was British, and the company commander, Captain Sidebottom, issues a snap to. He draws 3 command dice, and he's going to order the Shermans to open fire, beginning with this one. Right, the Sherman passed its order test, lost its die, and opens fire, needing a 3 to hit. Yes, it hits finally. Right, so it's long range, so it goes down one. So I need a 5 and a 6 to do any damage. No, so just another pin. Right, the second Sherman remains stationary and fires at the Panzer IV. Going to be needing a 3 for the anti-tank gun with the +1. Oh, it's a miss. Right, the third Sherman passed its order test, lost a pin. Still going to get a -1 for the pin, though. But it's going to be a 4 to hit, because it gets the +1 for the anti-tank gun. It is firing and it's stationary, but it gets -1 for pin. So it's going to be 4 to hit. And it hits, needing a 4 or 5 to damage. No, so just another pin on that Panzer IV. Appalling gunnery from the British forces. Right, so the next dice was German, and of course, the Panzer IV is going to fire back. It passed its order test, goes down to 1 pin, so it is still going to be a 4 to hit, and it misses. What a shock. Okay, British die, and the air observer identifies the Panther and identifies it as a target for an air attack on the next turn. Right, we completely forgot the artillery strike, which should have come in at the start of turn 5. We've done it now. There were no hits, but the mortar team, both units took pins. The mortar team took 2 pins, and the infantry grenadier squad took 3 pins, moving them up to 5. And again, Gabby chose not to put either of them down. Right, British die, and the 2-inch mortar team are going to fire, and they're going to try and drop a smoke round just on the bend of the town to hopefully block line of sight. Needing a 6. No, it's a miss. A British die, and the Firefly advances by crashing over the low wall, moving forward 9 inches to the side of the building. A brave but risky move. Die, and the Panther advances, just supporting the Panzer IV, but it doesn't get a line of shot onto the Shermans. Not this turn, anyway. German, and the Panther advances down the centre of the village, and he's going to take a shot at the Firefly. Super heavy guns are going to duel it out. Panther fires, needing a 5. No, it's missed. The Panther's round whizzed past the Firefly's turret. Next eye's British, and the Firefly is going to fire back. Can it hit the Panther? Firefly needs a 3. No, it's a miss. These dice are rubbish. German die. The Panzer IV passed its test, loses its pin, advances through the gap between the buildings, pivots slightly, and is going to open fire. Also on the Firefly, exposed in the centre of the road. No, it's a 1. This is Gabby, this is unbelievable. It's a miss. Yeah, the next dice is German, and the Tiger tank is now going to advance. A German die, and the observer finally runs into the town hall. Right, the British infantry receive an order. They hop over the wall to the baseline of yet another building, again capturing or claiming another of the houses in the town. As it stands at the minute, the British have claimed 3 of the houses. The Germans have also claimed 1, 2, 3, also 3, with the spotter inside the town hall. So honours even when it comes to objective points. Right, British die, and the remaining Sherman is going to pivot, advance, and pivot again, just positioning itself so it can fire past the Firefly down the road. But I'm going to say that it can't fire at the minute because the shot will be too close to the infantry as well. So it's just going to advance for now and hopefully be able to fire next turn if the mortar team get out the way. Right, Germans and the machine gun team are going to run into the house, joining the spotter on the ground floor. Just one missing. There we go. Yeah, another German die, and the infantry continue their advance, also up towards the town hall. Right, the mortar team are just going to adjust their position, moving 6 inches at advance order, just to the side of the bocage. Right, the German light mortar team passed its order test and runs 12 inches down the German right flank. British dice, and the infantry just advance into the ground floor of the building, capturing another objective. The German die, and Gabby brings on some of his reinforcements. The German team, the German medium machine gun team, passed its order test and runs up onto up the road. Last British dice and the Piat team pass its order test and run up the road to try and assist the Shermans and infantry in the battle that is definitely coming in the next turn or two. Final dice was German, and the Germans passed the order test, rallied, and lost all its pins. Well, that's the end of turn 5, and I'm quite sure there's a battle going on here somewhere, but unfortunately, nobody seems to be able to score any hits or any damage. So, turn 6, let's see if we can do any better, and whether we do end up with some actual vehicles or units wiped out. On to turn 6. Okay, so the start of turn 6, and the air attack, the Typhoon, rolled a 6 and it came in. From the marker point here, there was 2 pins to the Panther and 2 pins to the HQ unit. They were both within 6 inches. The HQ unit was in 6 inches of obviously the aircraft, and the Panther got 2 pins as well, but there were no other units within 6 inches to get it. There were no flak units. The roll was a strafing one. There were 4 hits on the Panther. It's a +2 for top armour, so it gives it a penetration of 4 hits at 4. On the Panther's armour, which is 9, that means it's going to be 5s or 6s to cause any damage as the Typhoon roars in and blazes away at the Panther. 4 hits, needing 5s or 6s to penetrate. Can the Typhoon do any better than the Shermans? Oh, that's 2 penetrative hits and 1 superficial. Rolling the penetration hits first. It's a 4 and a 2. And with that, the Panther is destroyed and burns. So the first die was British again, and the company commander orders yet another snap to. We're going to try and hopefully not repeat history. This Sherman passed its order test, lost its pin, and is going to begin by opening fire on the Panzer IV. Needing a 3, it's hit. So needing a 4 or a 5 to score a hit, and it's a 2. Of course it is. So just a pin only. Right, the second of the snap twos, and the Sherman is going to fire at the Panzer IV, needing a 3 to hit, and it's missed. And again, another snap to order. Another Sherman is going to fire at the Panzer IV, needing a 3, and I'm pretty sure it's going to miss. It hits, needing a 4 or 5 to penetrate. It's a 4. It's a superficial hit. Rolling on the superficial hit chart. A 6 on fire. Right, so the tank crew passed its order test, puts the fire out, but goes down for the remainder of this turn, and it now has 2 pins. Yet another British die, and the Firefly duels it out with the Panther, needing a 3 to hit. Does it hit? It does. Right, the front of the Panther counts as an additional +1, so I need a 3 or a 4 because the Fireflies are super heavy. It's a 3, so it's a superficial hit. Consultant, see what the superficial hit chart is. It's a 2. Right, so it's a steering hit. The Panther ends up with an additional pin, and it's reduced pivot on an advance, and no pivots when it runs.
So it can go just straight forward.
Yes, and still fire as well. And the next die was German, and of course the Panther is going to fire back at the Firefly, needing a 3, and it's a miss. German and the Panzer IV passes its order test, loses one of its pins, and returns the favour, firing at the Sherman, needing a 4 to hit, and Gabby's just rolled a 3. That's a miss. Were you surprised, Gabby?
No.
And the Tiger advances 9 inches on the German right flank. German and the spotter finally makes his way to the roof of the town hall, where the mortar can begin firing next turn at any British units that it sees. Another German die, and the medium machine gun team also makes its way up onto the roof to give covering fire down the main road. British die and the Firefly pivots and advances 9, coming to a stop there, and he's going to open fire on the Tiger that's in the open. Needing a 5 to hit. Oh, it's a hit. Okay, super heavy anti-tank gun against the front armour of a Tiger. I need a 3 for superficial or 4 and above to penetrate. It's a penetrative hit. There are low walls in between, giving hard cover. So Gabby's Tiger gets a cover save, and it's saved. So just a pin only. British and the 2-inch mortar team just advance behind the building, just opening a line of sight for the remaining Sherman down the main road. The next dice is British, and the Sherman does indeed fire at the Panzer IV in the distance, needing only a 3 to hit. Needing a 3, and it's a hit. It gets -1 for long range for the penetration, so needing a 4 or 5. And it's a penetrative hit with no cover save. Testing for morale whether they stay in the tank and put the fire out. That's a 9. I think with the company commander, who is within 12 inches. Hang on. Right, on a recheck, we realised that the platoon commander was more than 6 inches away, and the company commander wasn't in the house. Again, just more than 12 inches away, about 13 inches away. So the crew failed the morale and abandoned the Panzer IV, which slowly burns on the road. German, and Gabby moves the Germans into the farmhouse at the end of the road, actually claiming this now as captured, and another 10 points. Right, a British die and the Piat team run up the road again to assist the Shermans and potentially keep pushing forward so it can maybe get a shot on at the Panzer IV. German die and the company commander makes his way around to support the Panther, ready for the next round and the order test that's coming up. Right, a German die and the Panzer Grenadiers run up to the low wall and hedge line. British and an off-table unit passed its order test and runs onto the table on the road on the right flank of the British to support the attack. Another British unit off-table passes its order test and runs on, this time on the left flank of the board.
Just to the other side.
So again, the German Grenadiers run up through the wheat field. Okay, the infantry unit, the British infantry unit, now run into the ground floor of the house. The mortar team just reposition just a bit closer. They only have a range of 60 inch, just to make sure that when they fire on the next turn, everything's within range. Last eye is German, and the final German unit off the table, the platoon commander for the support platoon, passes his order test and runs on. Well, it took until turn 6 before any damage or any casualties were finally achieved after some abysmal die rolling for the previous turns. We're going to go into turn 7. There's 2 German tanks knocked out. The town is pretty much split in half, with these 4 buildings occupied by the British and these 4 buildings occupied or controlled by the Germans. So on to turn 7.
Burning, so this
Yeah. So a British die is the first one out the bag on turn 7, and the duel continues with the Panther, needing a 3. It's a hit. So front armour of the Panther, needing a 3 and a 4. No, it's missed. Just another pin. What a shock. The Panther passes its order test, loses a pin, still has 2 pins, and he's going to open fire back at the Firefly. And it's going to need a 4. And Gabby rolls a 6. That's a hit. Super heavy against the front of the Firefly, that's only a 9. So rolling for damage. It's definitely penetrated. On the penetration table, no cover save. 2. The Firefly has its track blown off and is immobilised, stranded in the middle of the road with no cover. British dice. And a Firefly is going to fire at the Tiger again, needing a 3. It's a hit. With penetration. It's a 3. Again, another superficial hit. Gabby gets a saving throw though of a soft cover, hard cover for the walls, 4 or more. No, so it is a superficial hit on the Tiger. Rolling for damage. 1. So that's an additional pin, and the crew's stunned, and the tank goes down for this turn, so it can't fire back. Right, British die, and the infantry in the house are going to open fire through the orchard at the Germans crossing the field in the open. They're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 rifles firing, 5, 6 rifles, and then the Bren with the loader. So 6 rifles with the rapid fire rule as well. That's going to go up to 7 rifles and a Bren opening fire. Right, 7 rifles and 4 shots from the Bren, needing 4s to hit. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 hits. The Germans are veterans, needing 5s. And that's 2. So 2 to save at 4+ with hard cover. 2 dice here. So can he save them, or the 2 casualties? Both saved. So just a pin on that unit. Right, so the German mortar fires. The spotter can see the company commander forming his O group, and they fire, needing a 6. Oh, it's a hit! The entire group is covered by the 2-inch template. Anything but 1s, 3 dice. And the command group are wiped out. With the command team gone, there's no chance of a snap to. The next die was British, and the Sherman opens fire through the orchard again at the Panzer IV, needing a 3 to hit. A 3, and it's a miss. Of course it is. So Germans and the medium machine gun team on the roof, at long range, but it can get them. Is going to have a shot at the Piat team as it runs up the road. Medium machine gun gets +1 for Hitler's buzzsaw. 7 shots, needing 4s. And 1 of the Piat team are killed, so it will be a morale check. Right, so the German medium machine gun killed the loader, put a pin on the actual operator. He passed his morale test, but has a pin. Right, British die, and the Sherman has seen the medium machine gun open up from the rooftop in the building, and is now going to fire a HE round into it. Direct HE shot, needing a 4. It hits the building, so it's a Sherman 75 which gets upgraded from a 1-inch HE to 2-inch. So it's D6 hits on the units in the building. And that's 3 hits. Needing 3s, 3 hits. And that's 2. Ever gets 2 saves, needing 4s? No, so 2 dead. Right, so we didn't specify which ones. So 1, 2, 3, it's the medium machine gun team. 4, 5, 6, it's the spotter. So that's a casualty in the mini machine gun team, and the other hit is so 2 casualties are from the medium machine gun team, leaving 1. So that's a morale check on that unit. German and the Panzer Grenadiers advance up to the other side of the orchard wall. German, but sadly they failed their order test, the light mortar, and went down. British die, and another Sherman also fires HE up at the house that's got the medium machine gun team and the spotters in. Direct HE needing a 4, and it's a hit. D6 hits, 4 hits again, needing 3 or more to cause casualties. That's 3, but Gabby does have cover saves. Gabby needs 4s. Oh, and he's saved all of them. So just more pins on the units. And with that, we've just discussed that we've decided that that would probably be the end of the battle now. Honours are even, certainly in terms of the houses. Casualties as well. There's 2 German tanks knocked out. A couple of British tanks that have been certainly been hit and not running at full speed. The command group, company commander, was killed with his while he was doing his O group. And again, it is pretty much split down the middle, with the Germans controlling the top half and the British the bottom half of St. Martin Le Pesnel. Gabby, did you enjoy it?
Very much.
Yeah. As I say, I think what Gabby just mentioned there was, well, you want to say it again, Gabby, what you said about your German tanks and your positioning and how things would be now?
Right. Well, originally the plan was to come down the middle and split the Allied forces into 2 halves, but with nightfall setting in and casualties roughly equal on both sides, it looks as if both sides are now having to consolidate their position and wait for reserves and new orders, especially for the Allied side. So I think as it stands at the moment, pretty much a stalemate until the next day.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. Did you enjoy the game? So this is only your third game of bolt action?
Yes.
Happy so far?
Very, very.
Excellent.
And certainly the version 3 rules have lifted it.
Yeah, quicker. No, happy with that. Right, everyone. That concludes today's game. Right, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the game. Thanks if you've watched it all the way through. I'd like to think this time we haven't made quite as many rule mistakes, but we're not quite sure. We did make an effort this time. Again, we enjoyed it. There was some appalling die rolling, which saw some ridiculous outcomes of ones, and I'm quite sure quite a few more of these tanks would have been knocked out earlier on had we have not been using such abysmal dice. But yeah, we enjoyed it. A good game. Hope everyone's liked the setup. I can, if you on Bolt Action, if you go on the Facebook groups on the Bolt Action Terrain Makers and the Bolt Action page itself, I put quite a lot of stuff on there, quite a lot of posts about how I make stuff for terrain. And so if you need to look up stuff that I've done, how I make things, you can find us on there. Sadly, I don't do tutorial videos because I have tried. I forget to video and I'm absolutely rubbish, and I don't realise until I've nearly finished something that I've missed out all the steps between B and W. But no, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully see you all next time. Thank you. Goodbye.